As a whole, the Zombies community really hates Advanced Warfare. In fact, I would wager that if you asked 10 players at random what the worst Zombies experience was, they would say Vanguard. But after that, they would probably say Exo Zombies. Though, going into this retrospective, I wasn't really sure how I felt about the game. On release, I really enjoyed parts of it and put a lot of hours into grinding the maps. Then last year I replayed the first 2 maps with my friends and was very frustrated by a lot of the mechanics. So I kept an open mind, re-downloaded Advanced Warfare, crashed several times trying to load onto the servers, then loaded up the first map to answer the question, is Exo Zombies overhated, or is it really just that terrible? One quick thing before we get into it, the support on this series has been amazing, so I thought I'd issue a little bit of a challenge. If this video gets 100 likes in the first week, I will post a poll to get to round 100 on the most voted map inside of Advanced Warfare. Okay, let's get into it. Outbreak, no, not that one, is the first and simplest map of the 4. Its main purpose is to introduce us to Exo Zombies' quirks and mechanics while attempting to hook in the player, and it does a decent job at that. It's just unfortunate that a lot of Exo Zombies' less than ideal mechanics are also on full display here. Despite the game's namesake, you don't actually get your exosuit right away, starting as a peasant who has to earn the fun jumping abilities. I know why Sledgehammer did this, add a sense of progression to build up to the power fantasy Treyarch Zombies sets out to achieve. Though, exosuits are the main draw of the game mode, and it feels really bad when playing without them since the maps are all designed with that kind of movement in mind. However, once you do gain access to these suits, you're gonna know very quickly if this game and mode is for you. Personally, I am a certified simp for this kind of movement. Any game that allows me to make directional air dashes, double jumps, or in general make me feel like I'm playing Titanfall is a win in my book. This is most definitely gonna be going into the great things about this game category. But this is where things get a little bit dicey with the game. Remember how I said that starting without the exosuit just kind of felt bad? Well, in the later rounds, you best get used to playing without it, or half your screen for that matter. This is because one of Advanced Warfare's 12 special zombies emit an EMP blast that disables your exo movement and covers your screen in glitches. Now, I get this is an attempt to keep the later rounds interesting, forcing you to think on your feet, no pun intended, and react to playing at a disadvantage, but it's really just done poorly. First off, these things spawn way too much. If you cut them in half, it would maybe be an acceptable mechanic. Then when you are hit, sometimes you will just instantly down because at a certain point, pretty much all of the other zombies have exosuits of their own and will jump on you right away. And the sad thing is, this game's high rounds are already fun and difficult without needing Electro to guest star. Unlike Treyarch games, you can't simply just run around the AI in circles. They're sporadic and will move to cut you off and try and swipe you out of the air mid-jump. If Sledgehammer played more into that kind of AI and zombie movement, I believe the game would have been much better received. It feels like the core of a fantastic game is trapped under a pile of needless additions. A couple of the other added special zombies are placed inside of their own round. First, since it's a zombies game, we have to have a dog round. This is the better of the two, basically acting as an easy max ammo and a break in the hectic gameplay, much like they are in Treyarch games. Then we have the infected zombies. These guys are stinky. So stinky, in fact, that if they touch you, a countdown will start. When that countdown hits 0, you will die. Since this game is so fast-paced and the zombies are so fast, you are gonna get hit several times a round. These rounds then become a cycle of kill some zombies, take a hit, run to decontaminate, kill a couple more zombies while in camo, get hit again, repeat. And that's not fun. It's not challenging. It's just tedious. There's also not much help from these guys in the later rounds in the weapons department either. The closest thing this map has to a wonder weapon is the Cell 3 Cauterizer, but that's kind of a stretch since it falls off around the same time as other good weapons. Really, the best box pulls are the equipment. Nanostorms will slow you and damage zombies in an area, basically giving you a free safe space, and then the distraction drone will act as this game's monkey bomb. The Nanoswarm is a really fun addition and a unique spin on these equipments that we saw from Treyarch, and then obviously the distraction drone is just a monkey bomb, but that's still nice to have. Keep up with the increasing zombie health, you're gonna have to use the upgrade system. And oh boy, this sure is a mechanic of all time. To fully upgrade your gun inside of Advanced Warfare, you'll need to do it 25 times. Meaning, you will have to spend 62,500 points to get one gun to max power. For comparison, Black Ops 4 and Infinite Warfare's upgrade system will end up costing you about 15,000, and both have significantly more power than a level 25 weapon in this game. This was done to try and keep the late game engaging, always giving you something to spend points on, but in practice, it just feels like absolute garbage. Each gun upgrade barely feels like it has any impact since they have to spread it out over 25 times, and the only good thing about it is the free max ammo for your weapon. And God forbid you take a down on co-op. Since you rarely have a backup stock of points, if you full die or just lose a lot of perks in your down, in this game you slowly lose them over time, depending on how long you've been down, similar to Black Ops 4, you're going to be playing catch up for the next 3 or 4 rounds, when you can hardly kill anything. This is better on solo since you only lose Exo Medic, which costs 500 points. While we're on the topic of perks, Exo Zombies comes with your standard Treyarch set of Jug, Quick Revive, and Speed Cola, though no double tap here. Then they added 2 new perks, My favorite one, Exo Slam, which can be a quick way to get down from the air and stun zombies around you with a little bit of damage. Then Exo Soldier, which is good, but it honestly should not have been a perk, but a standard mechanic of the game. It allows you to shoot and reload while sprinting, and that's pretty much it. Following that, Exo Zombies comes with a set of drops that players are used to, with its own version of insta-kill, nukes, double points, and fire sale. One unique addition is made on top of these with security, a really cool power-up that activates all traps on the map for its duration. Some more help for the player comes in the form of supply drops that will land in the spawn room every couple of rounds. These bonus items will contain points, a version of zombie blood, a turret, or a flying robot friend. I really like this addition. They're risky to grab mid-round with how fast-paced the game is, and they do help a lot with the difficulty of the game at times. Okay, I think now is a good point to start talking about the story of this map and game. Advanced Warfare's zombie outbreak started because Atlas dropped a DNA bomb, basically this world's version of a nuke, and it infected everyone who got hit. Not wanting to waste this experiment, Atlas then captured a lot of the infected individuals, which of course broke out and overtook the facility. Our main crew was working here at the time, and met up at the helicopter pad trying to escape, only to watch the helicopter get taken down on approach. Our goal with this Easter egg is to simply call for help and get extracted. From what I've found, people generally don't like this egg, and I think it's because of one particular step. You have to collect 4 security cards, one for each character, to gain clearance. Some of these are fun and a good use of game mechanics, like when you have to hit buttons while in an area and infected. Then you have quite possibly the worst Easter egg step in Zombies history. In it, you have to go down a trash chute by either opening both sides at the same time or just opening it twice in solo, then run around the furnace room, shooting the floor, hoping the card will pop out. You're on a time limit before getting kicked out of the room, and with bullets flying, you can hardly tell if the key actually came out, so you have to just spam interact and pray. I honestly don't know who was on more drugs, Sledgehammer when they designed this step, or the players who somehow discovered it. Once getting the 4 cards, all you have to do is play kill confirmed with the zombies and then interact with the DNA pad one more time. Then we get probably the most underwhelming end to a map I have ever seen. The only reward you get for completing it is the achievement and the ability to spend yet another 12,500 points on upgrading your gun to Mark 25. There's actually a second ending that got discovered at the end of Advanced Warfare's story, wherein if you melee all of the zombies inside of the kill confirm step, you can actually get saved, though this isn't canon and I don't have footage of it because I'm not masochistic enough to do a step like that. Altogether, Outbreak was a decent introduction to the game mode, and if you enjoyed this map, you'll likely have fun in the next maps, as I generally think that maps 3 and 4 improve on the formula presented here. Notice how I didn't say map 2? If you've watched any Zombies ranking tier list, you might know that Infection, or as most know it, Burger Town, is generally considered to be one of, if not the worst map of all time. Allow me to explain why. Back in the day, I was actually a pretty big defender of this map, and just to be clear, it can be fun at times if you're willing to look past a lot of the issues. I was so into the Exo movement system that anything else that happened in the map didn't really matter to me. So if you love this map and about to hear me say pretty much nothing but bad things about it, I've been there and I'm sorry. On the surface, this is basically just Outbreak but bigger. A lot of the same enemy types show up, there are no new perks, infection rounds and dog rounds make their return, and it's about the same amount of time to play without your exosuit. The problem is that the additions they made are all pretty much bad bar a few. The 2 worst offenders are the survivor escorts and the zone lockouts. Starting with the lockouts, these come on random rounds and completely stop you from entering parts of the map. The goal is to force players to not get comfortable training in one area and have to explore the whole map, but man, if this is not the most annoying mechanic when you just want to get shit done. Oh, do you need to head into Burger Town for an Easter egg step? Nope, wait around. Maybe you need to rebuy perks? Nope, gotta wait around. Need to buy ammo for your main weapon and it's inside of a zone? Good luck, Buttercup. Honestly, realistically, it's just one round of lockout, and in the early game, it doesn't matter that much, but once you start getting into even the 20s, it feels so bad when you're just waiting in an area to open to progress your quest. And that happened to me multiple times throughout my Easter egg attempts. Then we have these survivor escorts. Now, in theory, I'm actually okay with this kind of thing. Add a side objective that can benefit the player if they manage to complete it. The issue comes in the fact that the reward is a 2,500 point upgrade, and the punishment for failing is losing power on everything for a long period of time. That means no gun buys, no 3D printer, and most other buyables will be gone. Because of this, you need to try and keep the survivor alive and not ignore it. That's not simple though, because often the survivor will get completely blocked in by zombies as they circle them. So if you run out of explosives or you're just at a round that the guns kill slowly, it feels incredibly frustrating to watch them die as you pump damage into a horde. And that's not even to mention how easy it is to go down while doing this since your focus isn't on yourself. That might just be a skill issue for myself, but I'm gonna blame the game to make me feel better. Inside of that horde that is snacking on those minimum wage employees, you'll notice 3 new basic enemies added into the map. We have Spiky Boys, Gooey Boys, and Swap Boys. The counter to both the Spiky and Gooey Boys are to just not get too close, and Swap Boys are the same as normal enemies but a little bit more tanky. We also have a new boss zombie. I would say it's most akin to the Panzer on DE, being a tank that can shoot out electric grenades that in this game EMP you, and has a powerful close-up attack. Now I want you to prepare yourself, because this is the first praise I'm going to give the map. I think this is a really cool boss and a great addition. I'm normally against taking the exosuit away, but having it come in the form of a boss that isn't around very much and relies on an up-close, unique way of doing it doesn't feel annoying. I would like to say that you can use the new weapon, the Magnetron, to take him down, but you're better off with pretty much anything else. I will say it has an awesome design and is incredibly satisfying when it does kill. Actually, my favorite part of this map was having this thing on insta-kills and watching every zombie just explode around me. Sadly, the damage is very subpar even when upgraded compared to other guns, and it will probably get you killed when trying to use it. This map's layout is divided into 3 main sections: the spawn room and its 2 attachments, the sewer, and Burger Town. The spawn areas in Burger Town feel like any other standard location, nothing really jumps out about them or feels unique or notable. The sewers are an interesting concept though, and I really like the idea of an alligator trap that eats the zombies, but goddamn this place is dark. When doing the Valve Easter egg step, I got so frustrated with not being able to see, I maxed out my brightness, but that just gave the darkness a slight white tint and somehow made it even harder to see. There's also the issue of a game like Exo Zombies really struggles when being confined into tight spaces. With how fast the zombies can dash and block you around, you start to dread having to walk into any of these in-between areas of the sewer, and one EMP blast can easily lock you up long enough to go down. Now, I've mentioned the Easter egg a handful of times, so let's talk about it. The goal is to make a hamburger. No, really, that's most of it. This is my least favorite egg so far in these retrospectives. The first step is to grab a frying pan, then make your way into the sewers to try and find 4 randomly spawning valves to spin. There are at least 20 different spawns for these things, and sometimes I was looking right at them but couldn't tell because of the aforementioned darkness issue the sewers have. If you don't have a video pulled up with all the locations or have them memorized by heart, this step takes a ridiculous amount of time for something so simple. To give credit where it's due, the next step is actually really fun. Head into the newly opened sacrifice room and kill zombies around the place Golden Pan to get some meat. This is a lot harder than you'd think since the room is so tight, and I took several downs here in my attempts at this game. That's okay though, since the difficulty feels like it comes from a lack of skill in some areas versus the map just being poorly designed. I can't say the same about the next step. You need to find 4 pieces of meat that, as far as I can see, have 37 different spawn locations around the entire map. And these aren't huge, easily seeable things either. Look at this one hiding in the trash can. It's a metaphor for the map. The next couple steps are just alright. Get some buns, taint some meat, and cleanse yourself, then feed it to our fearless mascot leader. After that, we just have to grab his batteries and get the key. Then we have another very annoying step. Shoot the alligator while he eats the undead to get an arm. This sounds very simple, but he pops up so quickly and can be so hard to see that it'll probably take a few attempts to get this done, which is really frustrating in this kind of game. Then, once we do finish the Easter egg, we don't even get the cutscene right away. We have to end the game and go open it in the menu, which just feels so anticlimactic once again. In said cutscene, our crew is saved by Sentinel, the group working against Atlas in this story. They land in, say that one of our characters need to die, while the leader raises his pistol, leaving us on a cliffhanger for the next map. This actually was an interesting way to conclude it, and created interest while we're waiting for the next drop. But it quite literally had nothing to do with the Easter egg we just did. It just happened. It really felt like everything in this map was working to make my experience worse. And spoiler alert for the tier list at the end, it will be overtaking Transit for the worst map spot. There are some good aspects about it, but not nearly enough to outweigh the bizarre choices made by Sledgehammer when thinking of new additions. Generally, these next 2 maps are thought to be of decent quality, so I'm hopeful as we take the seas into the 3rd edition Exo Zombies, Carrier.
One shot to the head, my head, and the fog lifted.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
So, right off the bat, this map is a lot better. While I dislike not spawning with the exosuit still, Carrier feels by far the best when you don't have it, which carries over into the later rounds when you get massive amounts of EMP zombies. I think this clip is a perfect example of how spawn rates need to be adjusted. Honestly, this map was really a breath of fresh air after suffering through infection. Unlike that DLC, this really feels like an extension of the mode, not just Outbreak but bigger. It also corrected a lot of the mistakes we saw in the previous map. For example, instead of the survivor escorts, Carrier has bomb defusals. Every couple of rounds, get a notification saying that a bomb has been planted by Atlas, and leave to fight off their soldiers to get in and defuse it. Taking them down offers you a free camo, making the zombie pileups a non-issue so long as you can take down the soldiers. This is a pretty easy side task to do. It only takes a couple of shots normally to defeat the enemies, and you get a free power up for doing it. If you fail the area, it'll be blocked off with the same gaps you saw on Infection. If you don't need to use an area, you can honestly willingly let this happen, since there's no randomness once you know where the bomb is planted, meaning the punishment is not too severe and the reward is decent. If you do somehow fail 3 of these in a row, a Goliath will spawn, but honestly that never really happens since this is really easy to do. This map also thought of us degenerate gamblers by giving us a Plinko machine in the area connecting the 2 spawns. This is an important part of the Easter egg, but it's also just a fun thing to waste grenades on. You know what they say, 90% of gamblers quit right before they would have won big, so keep trying. That machine sits in the armory, which is basically the central hub for the map. It has the first printer location, 2 grenade wall buys, an upgrade machine, a gun wall buy, plus the gun and grenade disposals, which are big in the Easter egg. It's really nice to have so many important pieces located in one area and helps a lot with early progression. Outside of that, there's a lot more open training here than the other 2 maps, with the most notable being the moon pool and cargo areas. It feels really nice to finally have some solid training space in the game and not feel like a caged animal the entire time. To complement the addition of real training areas, we have the first actual wonder weapon here in the LZ-52 Limbo. It shoots out a lined laser, similar to a limbo stick, obviously, that will kill zombies in front of it. Unupgraded, it's a one-shot until round 12, then it depends on how much you've packed it. This is a massive improvement to the Magnetron from Infection, bolstering a super fun design and actual power to back it up. Alongside that, we also have the addition of a new perk, 2 new power-ups, and 2 new supply drops. Starting with Exo Stockpile, this perk increases your ammo by 20% and gives you an extra slot for both grenade types, while getting 2 replacements instead of 1 per round. This was 100% implemented for the Pachinko step of the Easter egg, and I thank Almighty Sledgehammer for thinking of this. For our 2 new power-up drops, we have an infinite ammo drop, which is something Treyarch still refuses to implement even though it's always amazing when it's in the games, and explosive touch. For this, think of the all-star power-up from Mario, killing every zombie that touches you instantly. Both of these are a lot of fun, running through hordes as your screen splatters with YouTube-friendly ketchup stains, or mowing down enemies with a shotgun or limbo that never has to reload. As far as the 2 new drops go, the new turret is pretty forgettable but decent, and the ability to call in sentinel reinforcements is awesome and definitely helpful when dealing with the bomb defusals. When looking at other additions, there are no new boss zombie rounds, choosing to return the infection zombies. I have honestly come to accept these as just part of the game, but I still think they are a garbage mechanic. We do have a new standard zombie though, the Blinky Boy. This enemy type will teleport around, that's pretty much it. I really like them. Unlike the ninja zombies on Infinite Warfare, they don't just spawn in front of you and cut you off, more so just making sure you keep moving and are aware of what's going on around you. It's challenging, but not unfair. They aren't the only thing that can teleport though. One of the 2 new equipment types is the teleport grenade, and it does exactly what it sounds like. This is super good for getting out of tight spots, and is one of the most creative bonus items I've seen in zombies. Alongside it is basically a trip mine, and it does good damage, but it's kind of boring and not worth taking up the slot. Okay. We've established that this is the best gameplay Exo Zombies has, so what about the main quest? Well, I'm happy to say this is my favorite egg in the game so far, and it rivals even some of the early Treyarch ones. It is the best at using the game-specific mechanics as well as the new ones introduced on the map. To start off, we have to use the new teleportation grenades to get into an area you would think is unreachable and flip a generator. This allows us to start messing with the Plinko machine. Then we play a fun little minigame where you get to shoot the teleportation grenade into the slot and then hit the mini special grenade types in a specific order to light up the other side. At first, this can definitely be pretty annoying, but once you get the order down, it's pretty great. Remember, gambling is always a great use of your time and money, so keep doing it. People who have seen my channel before know I love die rise, so obviously the parkour step that comes next is going to be a favorite of mine. You have to get drunk and jump around the lasers to get the needed item. You don't have your directional dashes, just double jumping, so you have to be locked in to make this work. The last 2 steps are pretty fun and simple too. One is to dig up spots on a tropical island, and the other is to use a fish to attract a shark. Then just go blow up the final vault and you're good to go, my friend. This isn't exactly a short egg, and it's not super easy, but it is simple. And that's what these quests should be. Something that isn't needlessly complex, but offers a lot of fun, unique mechanics, which I think Treyarch games started to lose track of more recently. The final cutscene also directly ties into the map's activities this time, having us look to escape before the ship goes boom, but we get sidetracked when Oz makes a reappearance after having been shot in the intro. Maybe he is like Kenny. He was around throughout this map as a voice in the computer, and it's starting to set him up as the big bad of the final map. And honestly, at this point, I was really starting to get invested in the characters. I love Carrier. It's a solid map that really allows the mechanics of Exo Zombies to shine in a way that the others 2 didn't. As the game goes on, it really feels like Sledgehammer is finally starting to iron out what exactly they wanted from this mode. To conclude the game, we have a map that fans have been asking Treyarch to make for years, a deep underwater city and base. Descent most definitely gives Carrier a run for its money. We start out on top of a raining ship, which is probably the most aesthetically pleasing part of the game so far, and dropping into the main sections, you'll notice that the map is almost entirely inside, which could have gone very poorly if it was limiting with how much exo movement you have. Thankfully, it was all designed in a way where, unlike the sections of Sewer on Infection or the hallways of Outbreak, you are rarely limited in how much you can use the suit. There is always room to do your jumps, dashes, and move around the zombies. This leads Descent to be one of the best designed map layouts that AW has. Inside of these halls, there are no new special rounds, once again choosing to reuse the infection and dog zombies, but there is a new normal zombie with the Chargy Boy. These are faster than the normal zombies and will use their exo jump a lot more often. There is one new zombie, but he doesn't exactly roam the halls. He is Zombie's first boss fight that appears throughout the game, and it's Oz. Oz is pretty pissed about the whole dying thing. I mean, seriously man, get over it, it was like 2 whole maps ago, and he decided to take his anger out on us. 3 separate times throughout the game, Oz will teleport you to his arena, which contains an upgrade machine and a 3D printer. The first time he just taunts you and kind of shows you what to expect in the actual fights, then the next time you'll have to fend off zombies while attacking him when you get the chance. You'll need to explode his room 4 separate times, and then you're granted a lot of points and a max ammo. On the final time, Oz roids up and charges at you as a big ol' beefcake. You'll have to flip the 4 generators on and decontaminate him to get rid of his armor so that he can be hurt. This isn't really a difficult boss fight, and obviously it gets one-upped by the more modern ones, but for being the first, it's actually pretty fun. I also like that, since the Easter egg takes a while, you'll more than likely do this while completing it. That makes the map feel more connected to the quest you complete. Unfortunately, there are no new perks or power-ups, but we do get 2 new wonder weapons. Firstly, we have the Trident. It's less powerful than the other one, but it's a lot more fun, especially on infinite ammo. Watching the balls bouncing off the walls to each enemy is great, and it's always fun when the wonder weapons are something that's not just a stronger bullet gun. Now we have the Blunderbuss. You only get 1 shot at a time, so exo reload is a must, but it can carry you pretty far into the game. Honestly, I don't really see how it fits into the map thematically. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm still glad it's here. I would say both of these are more fun than the Limbo, but only the Blunderbuss is as useful late game. We do get 1 new score streak from the supply drops, and it is a doozy. You get an anime mech suit that shreds zombies and keeps you from taking damage. This is my favorite of all the score streaks in the game, even if it's not as powerful as something like the Sentinel reinforcements. When put together, this map's features and design create a system that feels like a conclusion to Exo Zombies. Everything from previous maps that were brought in feel like they peak in design and fun, creating a climax of the gameplay. So then, all that's left is talk about the Easter egg, which is the best of the 4. It's definitely a good amount longer than Carrier, with more challenging steps that do progress more rounds. Almost all of them hit the right beats though, and you keep engaged throughout the long process. My favorite part about the egg is that in between each of the typical Easter egg steps, like hitting a button in the water, Oz instigates a challenge that we have to beat. This is my shit. I love when Easter eggs do this. Things like complete a round with only grenades or stay above 0 points when moving costs money feels like something a modder would do for fun challenges with their friends, and I mean that in a good way. I've never played World War II Zombies, but I hope that Sledgehammer continued this kind of thing with those eggs. Outside of these challenges, the actual steps are great as well. My personal favorite part is the parkour on the deck, obviously, and this is a fantastic step for a conclusion to a map. It forces you to show off all of the exo movement you've learned throughout the game and use all of the small little intricate mechanics that you have available. This map ends inside of Oz's mind, which in concept is dope, though I wish they would have gone further. The only reference to previous maps is the Outbreak bus, and the monologue he gives has overly edgy anime character vibes. I think they could have cut out the Simon Says step and onward, and instead chose to extend this mind section. Maybe add a final boss here instead of just fighting waves of zombies, or as you travel through different distorted sections of the map to reach a goal. But all of that is just wishful thinking on my end, and it does somewhat work, if not a little underwhelming. I feel like I've said that a lot about the way these eggs end. Our final cutscene shows that we have hundreds of more Oz's ready to go, but sadly there was never a continuation of the story, so we'll never know what they had planned. When factoring the quest into the gameplay, I think this map just barely beats out Carrier as my favorite Advanced Warfare experience. It has some issues with the pace of the setup, and it can feel a little underwhelming in terms of basic design, but it has tight, fun gameplay. And these last 2 maps have made me excited to see what Sledgehammer manages to do with World War II, if they're able to keep this trajectory going. That all begs the question, is Advanced Warfare any good? Honestly, I think it gets too much hate. Outbreak is a mid-tier map, though Infection definitely deserves all the hate it gets. Then Carrier and Descent are honestly pretty high-tier experiences and a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it's in the same tier of games that any of the first 3 Black Ops reach, but it isn't this terrible creation that many of the community makes it out to be. Likely I will end up coming back and replaying these maps from time to time, sooner rather than later if I end up having to go to round 100. And I'm honestly glad to have rediscovered the parts of the game that I loved. For the tier list, obviously Infection is now the worst map, so Transit is bumped up to F tier. Good job, buddy. Outbreak snuck its way into C tier, and both Carrier and Descent sit in high B tier. Looking at this list, I already know that once it's finished, I'm gonna catch some flame, but that's okay. Make sure to subscribe, because next time we're going to be covering Black Ops 3, what many people consider to be the peak of zombies, so we'll have to see if it holds up. Thanks again for all the support in this series, it truly means a lot, and I hope to see you next time.